Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos. Today we have a lot of World of Warcraft news, but we're going to start off with the elephant, or the Brutosaur in the room rather, the introduction of a new $90 store mount that is like the old Caravan Brutosaur, but is now available in the store for $90, and it has, in addition to an auction house, it has a mailbox as well, which is of course a power level upgrade. It's better, so I've gone ahead and picked one up. But there are a lot of people that are unhappy about this for various reasons. One of which is that the patch has just come out and is in quite a buggy state. Even historically compared to previous patches, this one feels like this is kind of an especially bad set of things going on, which we'll cover in this video as well. I will give my take on this. So I'm typically in favor of store mounts, store cosmetics. I think those are some of my more preferred ways for games to monetize. Yes, even though it also has a sub. Obviously, I would prefer them offer the entire game for free, everything that I wanted, for free. That would, of course, given the option. But if there has to be revenue raised, I think that optional cosmetics and stuff like that are my favorite way to do it. Now, this one is a little bit less like that because it does come with somewhat substantial power, right? Like, depending on what you're trying to do, having an auction house at your fingertips and a mailbox at your fingertips, we could already do this obviously with the Caravan Brutosaur and then a mailbox toy, right? You could go get the Postmaster toy, you could get the engineering mailbox. There are a couple other, I think, mailboxes as well that you could get your hands on that are potentially powerful. But this is, better and easier. So it's sort of different than just a kind of flashy mount in that way. Now, the $90 price point as well does raise a lot of, I think, ire from players. Again, especially because there's this feeling of you've literally just released a sort of unfinished patch, or a patch that is riddled with these different bugs and these baffling balance decisions that are kind of griefing the state of the game for a lot of players. And it does feel sort of tone deaf to then come out with a large purchase that a lot of people are going to feel a lot of FOMO about and feel like is a very, something that they want to have, or are sad, even if they don't buy it, they're sad that they didn't and the other people have it. So I definitely empathize with that, and I do think this could have been handled a lot better from Blizzard's end. In terms of the actual price of this, the WoW token, I suspect, is going to be shooting on upwards. Yeah, it's already gone up. Let's see if I can... Are there any on the... Oh, no. There's none on the... Oh, wait! It took my gold. Maybe I got one. Yeah, the WoW token was kind of dropped down historically low because people wanted gold, because the expansion's expensive in terms of gold. But now anybody with any gold is trying to buy WoW tokens so that they can buy themselves a nice Brutosaur. So that, if you actually look at it from that lens, the old Brutosaur used to cost 5 mil. This costs substantially less than that if you buy WoW tokens. Like, if you had 2 mil, even if the WoW token goes up a little bit, you could buy enough WoW tokens to get this Brutosaur. Even if the WoW token goes up quite a lot, even if it doubles in price, this is still going to be cheaper than the old Brutosaur was. But I guess it just sort of feels different for players if something has a high gold cost in game versus it just straight up having that dollar price tag on it, even though the WoW token exists to make that, you can transfer the one to the other. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of anger about this mount, and I do think that a lot of it in this particular case is more justified than it is about like some sparkly horse or whatever. Or in fact, there's another mount pack that has come out, which I think is a lot less offensive, which is just some cool mounts, a bundle of different mounts for classic and retail that has a bunch of different, like, themed around the original races of Warcraft. This is like a $30 bundle for $30 with 4 mounts, and they look cool. This is the kind of stuff that I'm much more in favor of than the addition of like a $90, kind of pay to win mount, which is what the Brutosaur is. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not like the most offended player in the world by this, but I do think it's kind of icky and very poorly timed. Okay. We also have, so let's talk about the bugs and stuff. There was a rogue exploit, which has been now fixed, and potentially rollbacks are on the move, which you could get basically you would kill a critter, and then you would get full combo point finishers forever afterwards. If you killed a critter in just the right way, like you dumped 5 combo points into it or something. So yeah, people were doing this. A lot of high keys were timed using 1, 2, or 3 outlaw rogues doing this. A lot of mythic bosses were killed or progressed using this as well. So Blizzard has a post that has come out. Let's see. Yeah, as a few hours ago, we corrected a bug that allowed outlaw rogues to contrive conditions in which they could do very high damage. We're now working on removing clearly exploited runs from leaderboards and taking account actions where appropriate. So this, I guess, is about M+. I wonder if they will fix the raid kills as well, because there have been... I've seen a couple of Silken Court kills, not just farm rekills or anything as well, but first kills for guilds that were using this as well. So we'll see what Blizzard decides to do about this. It can sometimes feel a little inconsistent what sorts of things you will get in trouble for versus what you won't, but this one was definitely one that I advised people not to use, because it's kind of clearly, I don't know. This one felt like one that you would get in trouble for, which is kind of hard to, the difference between this and various other bugs. It's kind of tough to be sure what's going to get you in trouble and what's not, but this one did have the feel of one that, if you use this to put really high runs on the leaderboard or kill bosses, there's a decent chance that something's going to happen to you. So, I don't know. We'll see exactly what those actions end up being. I do, of course, always call for consistency from Blizzard. Consistently applied rules will lead to people having a better, less of a feeling of like, I should exploit because I'm, usually get away with it, and therefore I should do these exploits because otherwise I'm hurting my guild or my M+ team by not doing it, right? Like, there are a lot of, I think that's kind of still the general sentiment, and even if they action this bug, there's been several others recently that they haven't, that I think contributes to that sense among the player base that, exploit early, exploit often. And I think that, an exploit rule that is enforced, 10 or 20% of the time versus one that's enforced 90+% of the time, it sort of creates this environment where you don't feel great about doing it. You're a little bit worried you're going to get in trouble, but like, you still feel like you should do it because otherwise everybody else is doing it and they're getting ahead of you. Another good example of this is the ring crest save craft exploit thing, which that one's tough because, like, so for those who don't know that one, I think a couple other people have made videos about this. I don't like talking about exploits that are currently still in the game because, I don't know, it just feels like those sorts of things, I mean, especially if they've only just been discovered, but this one's been out for a long time, so Blizzard should either fix it or say it's intended and change. So basically the way it works is, those slots like rings and weapons and trinkets where you have 2 slots, and normally you need a high item level piece in both slots before you get the upgrade discount. Well, if you craft into that slot and then you recraft with like a different missive or a different crafter, depending on the item, like for some items like binding and binding, it doesn't work, but for the other ring it does, then you can get upgrade discount in like with just that one item, right? So one crafted ring of earth and craftsmanship, then recraft it, and then you can upgrade your other ring up to 636 as well, without using crests. And that sort of thing is tough to, like, is it a bug exploit? Yes. Are there people who are going to do it accidentally by natural play patterns of just recrafting a piece for different stats? Also yes. So is it going to be easy for Blizzard to ban people for doing it, especially if they leave it in the game for more than a month, which they have now? That's going to be tough. That would be a tough thing to do. So that leads to players then getting this kind of thing of like exploit early, exploit often. And I don't know, it's tough. Like there's not a clean answer for what Blizzard should do about that one or these ones in general, but it's not the healthiest equilibrium that we're at right now, I think. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. There's also, of course, being just balance in general. So the patch came out. Let's actually start with where is this thing? Before the patch got deployed, they came in with some pre-nerfs to Frost DK, Blood DK, and Arcane Mage, which the basic idea here was these specs were like Frost DK and Arcane Mage in particular were already really good, and then 11.0.5 functionally was going to buff them. A lot of people, there was some outcry about that. I made a video as well that was like, this is a little weird for these specs to be getting buffed. given how they are currently functioning in the game, right? Like, these are specs that maybe can be left alone, maybe should be nerfed, certainly shouldn't be buffed. And so Blizzard came in and was like, okay, we made some changes for Arcane Mage and Frost Decay that were intended to mostly be quality of life. After further analysis and feedback, it's clear that without additional adjustments, these two specs would gain substantial buffs. So we're offsetting their throughput to the best of ability. Now, there was some dooming from both of these specs. Looks like both these specs are definitely totally still fine. Blood Decay getting some Deathbringer nerfs as well was also one that I think there was more like, why is this happening to me questions from Blood Decay is. It felt like, because it looks like these are just the same percents to the same abilities as Frost, and they were just kind of getting caught in the crossfire of the Deathbringer Frost nerfs also affecting Deathbringer Blood, which I'm not sure. I mean, Deathbringer Blood is not a super low DPS tank spec or anything, and it also was getting buffed by this patch, so either way, this, I think, was a good step by Blizzard, but it would be good to try and like have this sort of before the patch comes out. Again, especially if you're going to try and sell everybody something that costs more than an expansion of amount, you're going to launch a patch with this sort of stuff absent from it. There are a bunch of other specs, which we'll get to soon, that need that. But we're also planning tuning for other specs to be implemented with weekly maintenance next week, and we'll have more specifics to share on that in a few days. So I think if they have a good tuning pass next week, the damage of 1 week with kind of wonky tuning it's not the end of the world. And realistically, if there is a faster content cadence that involves there being some 0.x, 0.5 patches that are bad for a week on balance, I do think that's a good trade-off I think that's a worthwhile trade-off to make. But ideally, it shouldn't have to be made. I don't think there was a lot of mystery that this was going to be the effects on these specs from this PTR. There was a little bit of mystery for some specs and I think with Shaman, which we've seen Shaman be the huge overperformer this first week, it's already taken a hotfix nerf of 50% effectiveness on Lightning Rod and is still just absolutely incredible in AoE. So this, is, I don't know. It's tough to be too critical of Blizzard, and it's also tough to be too defensive of Blizzard for this. Like, the game, the World of Warcraft is a game that updates a lot and patches a lot, and that cadence being fast and faster is good. But also, it does seem like patches this out of whack on tuning and bugs should be avoidable more. And I don't know. It's sad. It seems like 98% of the work that went into patch 11.0.5 was really good. Blackrock depth rate is cool. There's some tuning concerns that people have about that, but it was really fun for me at least. And I know there's other people as well having a lot of fun with it. The rewards aren't particularly great, so people that are mostly reward motivated from it aren't super thrilled by it, but just the actual enjoyment of doing some cool new bosses, like they didn't feel like just random world bosses that didn't do anything. Like, they were actually kind of cool mechanics. So that was cool content that they added. Their 20th anniversary stuff in general is cool. A lot of the changes they made to hero talent trees and class trees, some of them are kind of bad. You look at the Paladin class tree, for instance, is just an absolute disaster. The changes made to it are horrific and inexplicable. But for the most part, most of the changes they made to most spec trees and hero talent trees, I think, are being pretty well received and are pretty cool. And all of that just sort of gets outshone in the players' minds by tuning being this far off, at least among me and my community. I think this is going to be the main thing that we'll remember about patch 11.0.5 was people exploiting Outlaw Rogue to kill Silicon Court, and people, not exploiting, but just using Elemental Shaman as intended and doing double damage of everybody else. And that, I think, it feels like an unforced error to me from Blizzard, and then compounded sort of in the sentiment of the player base by then releasing a extreme cash grab mount. So, I'm going to be writing an angry letter to my local dev team just to pop into my auction error WoW token. Oh no, I didn't get my WoW token. How much has it gone up to now? Let's see if it's still there. Oh, maybe? No, okay, yeah, no, none for sale. That's to be expected. That price is going to keep going up for the next little while. It's a panic buy WoW tokens. But yeah, I'll be using my Brutosaur mount to write an angry letter to the devs here. Of course, I had to purchase this mount so that I could do that more efficiently. I'm a man of the people. That's why I bought the mount. Anyways, hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do try and be... I know there's a lot of hot button topics in this particular video, so a lot of different takes, a lot of different perspectives that people have on these different issues, but I've tried my best to give a sort of nuanced perspective on it, which may or may not fit the current sentiment of the masses. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Always curious to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.